The Pilgrims who founded Plymouth, Massachusetts had only one goal: to live out their faith in the purity of the gospel as they understood it. But they paid a high price for this religious freedom. They began as a congregation in the middle of England. After much persecution, they were finally able to make it to Holland, where they stayed about a dozen years. And then, after the permanency of the Jamestown colony, they then had the goal to come to America so they could live in peace and faithfulness. But even preparing for the voyage was no small task.
They finally decided to settle in the northern parts of Virginia, which in those days meant near the mouth of the Hudson River. To finance such a venture, they found some sympathetic London businessmen willing to invest in the costly move.
When the Pilgrims decided they really were going to leave, and they made that decision, they had to get adventurers, which were businessmen, to finance their voyage. And even though they would sell their homes and their goods, they couldn't come up with the amount of money necessary.
By this time, the Scrooby congregation, now living in Leiden, Holland, numbered about 400 to 500. And it was decided that only about 50 of them could go in the first major trip to the New World. They hoped to send out portions of their congregation piecemeal. One modern clergyman, D. James Kennedy, noted that, in that sense, America began as a church relocation project. The Pilgrims leased a small ship for the expedition, the Speedwell in Holland, to supplement the main vessel, the Mayflower, in England, that they rented. The plan was for a group of pilgrims to leave Holland on the Speedwell and then to join up with others on the Mayflower on the coast of England. Before departing on the Speedwell, they held a prayer service on board.
There's a painting in the United States Capitol which depicts John Robinson opening the Geneva Bible. It's very clearly a Geneva Bible when you look at it in the painting, and having a worship service on board the Speedwell before they would leave Holland and go join with the Mayflower.
The Speedwell then sailed to England, where it was going to join the Mayflower for the two of them to go to America.
So when the Pilgrims decided to come here, they had to hire different individuals. First of all, they had to hire a barrel keeper, someone to keep the barrels. They had to make sure that that all their supplies were kept in good stead. That was John Alden. You also had individuals that were hired to help them in defense, like Miles Standish, who had been a soldier in the Low Countries, had come to understand who the Pilgrims were. So these people were not of their church. They were not necessarily converted saints, as one person would put it, and they came to be known as strangers. Now, they did not necessarily mean that they were not Christians, but they may have been a part of the Church of England. And they would carry King James Bibles. And you have the Pilgrims carrying Geneva Bibles right next to each other. And they recognized this because they were coming for one purpose. And yet, it was the church purpose. Look, these other people would not have come on this voyage had not the Pilgrims wanted to plant a church here. So they were coming together.
One of the strangers they had on board was the man chosen by their financial backers, Christopher Martin, to be the leader of the Mayflower. But Martin had a very crude and abrasive personality. He could well be described as a prima donna without portfolio. Christopher Martin called himself the governor of the Mayflower.
Not all of the Pilgrims were these non-confrontational people who were easy to be around with, and Martin was one of them.
He so insulteth over our poor people, with such scorn and contempt, as if they were not good enough to wipe his shoes. It would break your heart to see his dealings, and the mourning of our people. They complained to me, and alas, I could do nothing for them. Robert Cushman.
The voyage of the Mayflower was unique in that families were coming together to travel overseas. This was rare for the early 1600s. They left in July with plenty of time to arrive safely, but 2 times the Speedwell proved unseaworthy.
If she had stayed at sea but 3 or 4 hours more, she would have sunk right down. Robert Cushman.
One of the passengers of the Speedwell, who chose to remain in England for the present, was Robert Cushman, a man who was instrumental in arranging things between the Pilgrims in Holland and their financial backers in England. Sadly, the stress of all the arrangements, and especially the 2-month delay caused while trying to fix the Speedwell, affected Robert Cushman.
An infirmity of body hath seized me, which will not in all likelihood leave me till death. What to call it I know not, but it is a bundle of lead, as it were, crushing my heart more and more these 14 days, as although I do the actions of a living man, yet I am but as dead, but the will of God be done. Robert Cushman.
Cushman even noted that if the Pilgrims ever make it to the New World and did finally create a colony, it will only be by the miraculous hand of God.
It was indeed by the miraculous hand of God that the Pilgrims were able to come to America after all. They paid a high price for their religious freedom, and they blazed a trail in the wilderness that we too might enjoy religious freedom. Amazingly, religious liberty is at risk in our day, and it's worth fighting for and paying the price for that freedom, just as the Pilgrims did so long ago. For Providence Forum, I'm Jerry Newcomb.